Welcome to Spicer and Company. I'm Sean Spicer.
And I'm Lindsay Keith. Well, Sean, before we get to the news of the day, the big news is it's your birthday today. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
All right, we like to go back to back.
Yeah, that was nice how we scheduled that. Yeah.
Perfect timing. All right, well, this week we've heard about a lot of the ways that the left is trying to prevent the president from filling the Supreme Court seat. Everything from tossing around the idea of impeaching the president again to packing the courts.
Yeah, I mean, Republicans have introduced a resolution condemning calls for Joe Biden and Democrats to pack the court by adding additional members to it if the president replaces Ruth Bader Ginsburg, which is actually what he's supposed to do. The letter actually references Justice Ginsburg's own words. It says, quote, she thought it was bad idea when Franklin Roosevelt tried to pack the court. And, quote, if anything would make the court look partisan, it would be that. Today, we have the two congressmen behind that resolution. We're going to talk to Congressman James Comer of Kentucky in just a few minutes. But first, let's welcome back to the show Ohio Congressman and ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan. Congressman, welcome back.
Good to be with you, and happy birthday. You look great. 39 and looking great, man. That's awesome.
Oh, I appreciate that, Congressman. You're off by about a decade, if not a little more. Anyway, thank you, sir. So this letter that you sent makes it very clear that the Republicans are not going to stand for this. Nancy Pelosi over the weekend said that she has arrows in her quiver, whatever that means. Do you have any arrows, Congressman?
Well, we got the Constitution. The president's
That's a big
the law.
arrow.
Yeah, and you know, this idea that they're going to threaten the American people and they're going to go after the president with possibly a second impeachment for the president following law. I mean, they did the first impeachment based on the Ukrainian hoax. Now they're going to do a second one maybe based on the fact that he's following the law and following the Constitution. So as you indicated, we filed a resolution. Every single Republican member of the Judiciary Committee is on that resolution. I think you're going to get every Republican in the House to sign on to it too. And we said it's probably not a good idea to change the court and try to pack the court and add 6 new justices as the Democrats are threatening. After all, it's been 9 Supreme Court justices since 1869. Let's keep it that way.
I'll tell you, any Republican who doesn't sign your letter, Congressman, I want to know about, because that's ridiculous. If you're a Republican and you're not on that letter, you better have a pretty good excuse for it. And I don't think that there's many that qualify for that. Congressman, there's an article out today that says Trump world is clashing over Barrett versus Lagoa. Obviously, Amy Coney Barrett being the first person and Barbara Lagoa, the judge from Florida, being the second. The subtext said, on one side are political operatives focused on the re-election upsides. The other side is a movement conservatives who say Trump can't afford to blow this. So, you know, Lagoa is from Florida, a must-win state. She's Cuban, which would obviously help in South Florida. Amy Coney Barrett is obviously the one who they think is stronger as a conservative. You are a big leader in the conservative movement. Where do you come down on this?
I think you can accomplish both with either pick. You're going to have someone who I think helps the president win election. I think he's going to win regardless. But you want someone on the court who's going to follow the Constitution. And both of those individuals are going to do it. Look, here's what I know. The president has put out his list. Where's Joe Biden's list?
Yes.
The president put out his list in 16. He put it out again in 20. He selected justices from that list, just like he did with Gorsuch and Kavanaugh. And now whoever he picks, whether it's Amy Coney Barrett or Lagoa, whoever he picks is from that list. Americans appreciate this president because he does what he said he was going to do.
But you don't care either one. You're good with either.
Yeah, I know that I was good with the whole list. So anyone from that list is going to follow the Constitution. They're going to recognize the First Amendment's important. The Second Amendment's important. They're going to recognize what the Attorney General said just a few months ago when we headed into this whole coronavirus lockdown situation. The Attorney General said that the Constitution is not suspended during a crisis. And amen to that. I wish Democrat Governor Newsom in California, Democrat Governor Cuomo in New York understood that. I want a justice on the Supreme Court who understands that, you know, these guys wouldn't let you go to church, work, or school, but you could riot, loot, and protest all you wanted. That's how ridiculous it is. So I think someone who's consistent with the Constitution, that whole list meets that criteria.
And I think you're absolutely right. Why? Biden's already said it's going to be a black woman. So there's a universe there to choose from. Why won't he put the list out? Just tell us. There's only so many people that fit that mode. So tell us who they are. 10, 15, 20. What's he hiding?
Yeah, I don't think you win elections by threatening the American people, staying in your basement, not putting out a list of who you would put on the Supreme Court. I mean, never seen a campaign run like this, but they must think this is okay. I don't think the American people are going to see it that way.
Yeah. Congressman, thank you for joining us. Thanks for putting that letter out. And if there's a Republican out there that doesn't sign on the letter, I'm not kidding. I want to know about it because this is the most common sense thing. And if we can't agree on something like this, Congressman, then you don't deserve an R after your name. So let us know who's not on that list. Thank you for being back.
All right. Thanks. Happy birthday. Take care.
Thank you. All right, let's continue the conversation with Kentucky Congressman and ranking member of the House Oversight Committee, James Comer. Congressman, welcome back.
Great to be back, Sean.
All right, you and Jim Jordan, who we just talked to, came out with a piece in the Washington Examiner warning that widespread dysfunction with mail-in voting could put, quote, the integrity of the nation's electoral process at risk. Walk the viewers through how all of these states are at risk because of this.
Well, the Democrats are changing the rules in the middle of the game, especially in some blue swing states. They've changed the length of time that you have between the election and when the ballots are supposed to be due in. Nevada recently changed the rule saying that the ballots received after the election do not even have to be postmarked. And we saw what happened in California 2 years ago with the ballot harvesting. So there's a big concern on top of the fact that many states are mailing out universal ballots to people who haven't even requested them. And I think it's something that America needs to be aware of, because if this race comes down to the wire, there's a lot of fraud that we could see in these mail-in ballots.
Especially in these battleground states. And that's what I think is so key about how you pointing this out. They are changing the rules right before the election, and they all benefit Democrats. I think people have to understand what you're saying. It's so crucial. Congressman, another thing that I think has popped out to me is there's an article in The Hill that talks about how Mike Bloomberg is paying the fines for 32,000 felons in Florida. Now, he's spending up to $20 million for the fines. Are you concerned about this? It's almost like the Democrats' new slogan. They know that criminals are part of their coalition.
Yeah, I'm very concerned about that. And you're exactly right. That says a lot about their base. You know, the fact that in Pennsylvania, they're worried about people not knowing how to sign their name on a ballot. And then in Florida, they're trying to get 32,000 felons eligible to vote at the last minute, because clearly they see the momentum shifting. The momentum is shifting from Biden to Trump. They know that Republicans are going to show up in force on election day to vote in person. So they're trying to extend these deadlines and and amend the rules on what the ballots have to look like to be received and when they're received, so that they can tack on some votes in the end to try to catch up to Trump.
Beyond that, though, are you concerned federal law prohibits anyone from knowingly, let me read it, or willfully paying for or offering to pay for accepting payment for registering your vote or voting? Do you think that what Bloomberg is doing in Florida crosses the line?
It absolutely crosses the line. There's no question. He is paying people to vote. He is violating the law. People are receiving gifts in exchange for their vote. I mean, it's clearly against the law. And again, it's another example that the Democrats are trying to change the rules at the end of the game. They realize that their candidate is a dud. They realize that the momentum's on the Republican side, and we're going to see a lot more shenanigans from the Democrats over the next 30 days.
Congressman, before we go, I know your district is in Western Kentucky, but today it came out that one of the officers involved in that Breonna Taylor shooting was I guess, charged with 3 counts. How concerned are you about what's going to happen or not in Louisville in response to this?
Well, I'm concerned. We've been monitoring the television all day. I fly out of the Louisville airport, so I'm in Louisville at least 2 times a week. Louisville's the economic engine for the state of Kentucky. And Louisville's been boarded up for several months now in anticipation of this hearing. I believe that justice was served. I believe that everyone had their day in court, and I hope that the protest will be peaceful. But the last time, the city and the governor kind of turned a blind eye. We have a Democrat mayor in Louisville, Democrat governor in Kentucky, and it wasn't much different than what we've seen in the other blue cities and big cities run by Democrats. So hopefully this time they're a little better prepared. Hopefully there won't be any violent outbreaks. I know there's been some minor disruptions today in the last few hours, but hopefully we can move on as a city and state.
Yeah, I hope you're right. I know that her parents have come out asking that any protests be peaceful because that's how she would have wanted it. Congressman, thanks for being here. Thanks for what you're doing, especially calling out these Democrats and changing the rules. It is so important that people need to understand what's happening before the election and that you're blowing the whistle. So I appreciate you and Jim Jordan doing that, and I hope you come back soon.
I'll come back, and Jim and I are going to continue to beat the drum all the way to Election Day, and unfortunately for probably several days and even weeks after the election when the Democrats continue to find more ballots.
All right. Appreciate it, sir. Look forward to having you back to talk about it. All right. How much does this Supreme Court nominee change the game for Trump and his campaign? We're going to ask Trump pollster Jim McLaughlin when we come back. Then, defund the police activist and actress Alyssa Milano ended up calling the police for help. No kidding. We'll tell you why, and later, our Religious Vote series continues with evangelist Franklin Graham. His plans for a prayer march are for this weekend. All of that's ahead on Spicer and Company.